Well, Steven, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
You know, of course, you're no stranger to entering a franchise that's already been established with decades worth of lore and mythos and everything. Just how hard or easy is it for you to get your vision into it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I always try to approach a franchise as if like I'm still like an audience member, you know, so which that makes it easier a bit, you know, because now you're like approaching it as a fan of the franchise. What would I want to see on the screen, and where can I take characters? Characters are the most challenging part, but that's the part that makes everything feel fresh and new. If you could break new ground with like where they're entering as characters or their arcs, and I think in this one in particular was definitely Optimus Prime, who like had a bigger arc. Like when people see the film, they'll notice that he's not the same Prime that we know, and he kind of steps into the noble Prime that we all love. And then you have all the beasts as well, so they were pretty fresh. But I'm always trying to balance, you know, what people liked or what I liked with the cartoons of Beast Wars, and what can I add to it that, you know, makes more sense in 2023, if you will, you know. So those are like the challenges, but usually, you know, you find those out in preparation, and sometimes you find them out on set. But
on the go.
On the go. On the go.
Well, specifically in this film, when you were dealt with this assignment, what was the very first thing you wanted to tackle in this film?
I wanted to tackle the villain. Like that was one of the things I felt like, originally when I got the script, Unicron wasn't placed in the film, and I knew for a very long time, including myself, I wanted to see and start to hear Unicron as a character, just because he's like, you know, he's the dark god, he's a chaos bringer, right, in this sort of franchise. But he opens the door for so much more, because it lets you know that there's a lot more out there, like the universe is expanded. So I wanted to introduce him and his army, the Terracons. And then the second, I don't want to double lap, but it was Optimus Prime. Like I definitely wanted to make sure, you know, being, I don't know what number movie, you know, he's been in, and TV show, he's the man. And it was like, how can we show him become the man that we all know and love? So I wanted to really dive deep into his character and toe the line, and Peter Cullen definitely helped with that as well.
You know, being in New York, like New York is really in the heart of the film, I feel. Not only location-wise, but your main actors, you know, they have bonds that are born and raised.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn represents.
They'll let you know.
I know. But what was behind the decision to put these in the 90s? Because it's like really appealing right now in pop culture, you know, the whole 90s and everything. So what's the deal behind that?
There's a couple of things, but one in particular was we were trying to pick up where Bumblebee left off. I felt like the ending of Bumblebee was a perfect segue into Rise of the Beast, because it felt as if Bumblebee landed on Earth, Optimus Prime had just landed on Earth, and they were like, we're going to seek refuge here for a little bit of time. And so we didn't want to make a film that was like set in the 80s again. So we're like, what's the next decade that had a lot of culture shifts, wardrobe, music. It was just very vibrant, and it was also an era I grew up in. So it was like, oh, cool, I can really tap into when I was a kid, and the things I loved, and the brands I love, and the cartoons. And you'll see like there's a lot of homage to like different, even we make Sonic.
Yeah, I know, that was so cool, man.
Power Ranger references. It's like all the stuff I kind of grew up off of, and it was just fun. And we wanted to make sure it wasn't overdone. But Brooklyn, New York has a little bit of a lot of grit, right? And we've always seen the Autobots on the West Coast. Right? There's always in California. And I was like, it'd be a real challenge to show these robots. On the East Coast, in like one of the busiest cities in the world, you know? And so, you know.
And talking about locations, what about,
that's me. Oh my gosh.
Optimus Calling.
I know, right?
Talking about locations, Optimus Calling. What was it like to do this on Cusco, in Peru?
It was beautiful. I mean, shooting in Cusco, I mean, it was a unique experience because not too many films shoot there. But one thing that, for sure, I wanted to make sure that we incorporate the culture there. So we had this huge festival scene that allows us to pull in different floats and people from different regions. So we got a taste of a little bit of all kind of places of Peru just by creating that one festival in Cusco. And then you see the culture is very much alive, and the texture is very much alive in the film as well. And then that was also like a central place for us to go to, Sacred Valley for our car chase sequence, and then Machu Picchu, where we ended up shooting probably like our end of our movie damn near, you know. And so it was just all around. The locations were beautiful, tough to shoot in, you know, because it didn't have the structure in some areas, like the jungle. Some areas didn't have roads, so we had to like pave our own way through and find ways to bring in equipment. And it was definitely tough on the actors because they're from Brooklyn, New York. So I've never been to any sort of
They can
jungle,
take
but just city jungle, not anything like this.
Well, thank you very much for your time, man.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate
man.
it.
Thank you.
Pleasure.